What's good, my people? It's your boy 336 Money, and you are now tuned in to the 336 podcast. I'm here today to tell you that I am ahead, not up to date. Yes, that means I am from the future. Your today is just my yesterday. Spoiler alert, ain't shit changed. Ain't shit changed, my people. Let's talk about it, man. Hope you guys have had a great week. And we got a couple things to talk about today. And let's just start off with one of America's contradictions, man. Let's look into this a little bit. 31 people arrested on charges of conspiracy to riot as cops received an anonymous tip from someone saying that, there were some rioters and they were on the way to cause riots. They had riot gear, face shields, smoke, bombs. I mean, all of these things, man, these guys were prepared to cause hell. And we looking a little deeper into it, we see that they were headed to a pride event in Idaho. This is an annual pride event that they hold here for LGBTQ plus civil rights, struggles, victories. And these guys were going to go there and riot. These people came from all over the country, as far as Oregon to Virginia, so completely opposite side of the country. And, over 10 different states, they all pulled up. Like I said, it was over 30 rioters, and they were going to pull up in this U-Haul truck and riot at this pride event. But thanks to that tip, police were able to bolster their defenses and support and was able to pull over this U-Haul truck full of people ready to riot at this pride event. Now, this is where it gets interesting. You say, who would want to riot at a pride event? Who would want to do that? And we look into it, and guess what? It's a nationalist group. It's a white nationalist group. So that's what they call them, white nationalists. They don't call it white supremacy anymore. They call them nationalists, white nationalist group. And this is a known group as well, and they're called the Patriot Front. And, it's very disturbing. Like I said, we begin with America's contradictions of these known nationalist supremacy groups getting together, gathering, banding together to riot and to conspire against those that they hate and despise. Yet we don't hear about any type of RICO charges. We don't hear about any of these things from these guys. It's just appalling to me. We got a couple of guys by the name of Gunna, Young Thug, the whole YSL Duke. They're right now being targeted for a RICO case. And these guys are just black men in underserved communities that have gained financial, somewhat freedom and wealth. And they still deal with the traumas of what it's like being black, growing up black, having your family, your friends, and everything in these black environments that are very, very tumultuous to live and grow up in. And, we have to maneuver and navigate through those things due to the underserved and under-resourced communities and police presence in these areas. We have to navigate these things through ourselves, yet we're looked at as gangs and, criminal organizations, while these guys are known white supremacist groups that band together and riot. You have Capitol riots. You have, these guys pulling up in some of the protests that happened earlier in the past couple of years where, they're pulling up to protect, some way, somehow these guys can just be police, civilian police, pull up together with guns and kill black people and get away with it, as we talk about Cal Rittenhouse. And these things just go unchecked in America. They're well-known facts. No RICO charges, no RICO cases, no mass incarceration for these white supremacist groups. While as black people, we just have to suffer, and we have to suffer, and we have to suffer over and over and over, man. It's just very strange to me that we have these groups there and they're just okayed. It's good to have these known hate groups. They're considered a hate group by law enforcement agencies, but, they still stand strong. I guess that tells you everything you need to know about that story right there. March for Our Lives gun rallies went across the nation this weekend on Saturday, as that rally is the biggest rally, happened right there in Washington. But you had over 450 other rallies throughout the United States take place to just advocate to advance gun laws, gun control, and more stricter gun enactments to take place. These guys, they want change. These are a bunch of people who believe that gun laws can easily be improved and developed. They call these laws common sense laws and restrictions, and it's like common sense to put these things in place. I think it's great. You have people from all over the world. Like I say, 450 rallies in 50 states. That's pretty impressive. So when you look at that, a lot of these rallies have, upwards of thousands of people. One of their biggest rallies was a couple years ago after 17 was killed, 17 injured in a mass shooting, and it had over 200,000 people. So, these rallies can get pretty big. A lot of people come together in these rallies, and they just kind of want to advocate for safer gun environments in our country. But we have to look at it, guys. We're coming off some shootings, some major shootings. A lot of things are going on. People are really invested into this right now, and change is going to come at some point, but we have to look at how that change comes. I say that because some of these laws are a little bit iffy. You have laws like raising the legal age limit from 18 to 21 for rifle purchases, which is called like the red flag laws, but it's not like federally enacted at this point. You have laws like, mandatory background checks for all of these weapon purchases. As you guys know, you only need background checks. Well, I guess in most states for just handgun purchases. And, like I said, just raised from 18 to 21 to buy these rifles. So there's a lot of different things you could do. Guns very accessible to people and to the average person, which I believe that they should be. When you start doing a lot of different extra things, it can, you guys know when you give a lot of power to people and you allow them to restrict it, it's just certain groups that are going to be restricted, man. Like I said, those laws, those are the ones that people are struggling to pass. But there's another law that Congress is very, very optimistic that will get passed and approved here. But it's a law that pretty much allows law enforcement to take weapons away from people that they believe cause an imminent threat and danger to others or themselves. Now, in my experience, what does that mean? What does that mean? Who are those people? What do they do? And how do we identify those folks? And that's where it gets tricky, guys, because we know the gun violence, aside from mass shootings, it's very dominant in minority communities. So when you look at a law like that, it can cause a lot of problems. It can cause a lot of issues. And there can be a lot of unjust done when you talk about enacting these type of laws and putting that type of power into law enforcement hands, which we know law enforcement, they're not always so clean. These guys have hidden agendas. Some of these guys really hate, certain racial groups, you hear about this stuff and we see it happen all the time. We see the dangers of, being approached with police officers, and now you want to specifically include a transaction where officers are taking guns. There's some type of transaction where a gun is there and is given from one to the other. It sounds really dangerous and reckless to me to put that type of power into police hands, given the relationship with the people and police, the unrest in this country due to the high amount of police killings. And I just don't know if that's the best thing to do right now, especially that like being the first law that we want to enact. We'll see. There's not a lot of information on that law, but, you guys pay close attention to it because when it is released, there are going to be some details around it and how it's going to be executed. And those are the things that we're going to want to watch for, especially if you look like me. China, guys, we all knew this was coming. China says, and I mean, these are some strong words. China says they're willing to fight to the end for Taiwan. It just is weird to hear, a country say, we do not want them to have independence. They got to get down to lay down. That's basically what they're saying. If you guys ever watch State Property, They don't want Taiwan to be independent. They feel like they have to succeed. Taiwan is first China's, and they want that. But as you guys know, the U.S. has very close relations with Taiwan. We provide them with defense, artillery, and machines. So that's kind of our relationship. We have a very good relationship with Taiwan, and we're willing to protect. President Biden 2 weeks ago, he says, hey, if China try to play with Taiwan, there's going to be a military response from the U.S. Like, we're going to step on that. And, China's defense general, Mr. Wei, he didn't really take too kindly to that in his most recent statement, stating that America is just a bully. The U.S. is a bully, and they operate under the guise of multilateralism. And that's what they feel about us. And, I mean, if you know, guys. But, we're willing to step behind Taiwan. But China said they willing to step behind Taiwan. And, Biden says they're going to send a military presence, while General Wei, he says, we're going to fight to the end. He says that their army is already ready to sacrifice blood for the cause of maintaining China's independence and taking control over Taiwan. So yes, guys, this can be very, very big, man. There have been some missiles being fired off between North Korea and the U.S. and South Korea, and all of these things are starting to come together because, you have what's called allies. And, we knew it would come around this time. Ever since Russia attacked Ukraine, we knew that the opportunity would arise for China to say, hey, it's now or never. They feel like no one can stop this historical thing of China taking independence over Taiwan. They feel like this has happened in history and no one can stop it. And they ready to go to the last drop of blood in order to take over Taiwan, guys. We talk about World War III a couple months ago when, Ukraine was first attacked. This is the type of things we're talking about, the separation of forces, the attacks on these smaller countries, and, these separate, different type of disputes that these countries are having, and how that will have to require some allied help because the resources are going to be spread so far out to these different countries, especially when you have several allies facing some type of diplomatic, military emergency. This is going to cause those allies to step up and fight. And, that's when everyone begins to get involved, and they get involved quickly, and you have the world at war. So be on the lookout and watch out for this story with China, Taiwan, and America and this love triangle. Okay, guys, so let's just be honest. How your bank account looking? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I got to check my account, man. You know what I'm saying? I don't know about y'all. I got to check my account. I don't know, guys. They say we are in a recession. Recession has been something that's been looming in conversations across America, since, a lot of things are starting to get a little out of pocket. The number one thing that we know getting out of pocket is gas, which has now reached $5 a gallon. And it's pretty excessive right now. But we still, this is the case. I don't want to get into it too early, so let me hold off right there. But yes, people feel like recession is on the way, and talks are increasing amongst some experts in the finance industry as they say, there's a lot of things going on that look and feel like a recession, that point to a recession. A lot of those check marks when you say, is this a recession? Okay, we got that. A lot of those things are coming on, and, what we're seeing is inflation is up. Prices are rising faster than they have in 40 years. This is a historical rise in prices. And also you have things like the market. The market is now kind of bearish. We have some, the stock market, I don't know if you guys pay attention, it's kind of dropping in a lot of areas. Some areas are remaining strong though. But the thing that they hold their hats on is that, hey, the job force is just ravishing right now. The job market is booming. People are working. They're getting out here and they're working, and spending has not slowed down. And they feel like on the premise of those things, we are not yet going to call this a recession, even though all other financial, indexes point toward a recession. But, people are working and they're spending money, and they feel like that is going to be enough to keep us alive, to keep us going. But that to me just sounds like, okay, we working. Wages are rising in some areas, but I don't think wages are rising at the rate of prices. Are our wages rising at a rate faster than in the last 40 years? No, but prices are. So what does that do? That still puts us behind the needle, guys. So yes, inflation is still kicking our butts, and we're just not, taking heed yet. We're still spending that money. We still spending that money, guys. I'm still spending that money. I can't lie. I'm spending it. I don't care how much it go up. I'm still gonna fill that car up, and we're gonna swipe, and we're gonna spend. We're gonna spend it again. And that's why they feel like it's not a recession. But ultimately, that just puts us in a bad predicament to be in one of the worst predicaments that we've ever been in, when we literally cannot afford the necessities of life, guys. If you can, take heed, have some type of saving structure, really scale back, do a new analysis. Like every 2 weeks, you got to do a finance analysis on yourself. What can I afford? Because prices are always rising. So something you may have been able to technically afford last week, you may not be able to afford next 2 weeks, just because the way prices are rising. And we only getting that raise like every 4-6 months. How often do you guys get a raise? Because I know prices get a raise every other day around here, it seems like, man. So you guys got to pay attention to this thing. I'm here to tell you guys what's going on in the finance industry, man. Make sure you stay tuned for more information on this recession. You got to whisper because don't nobody want to act like it's real. All right, guys. Well, that's all we have time for on the show today. Make sure you guys like this video, subscribe to this channel. Again, this is our new channel. Make sure you turn on our post notifications so you don't miss any of our other episodes like this. And also just comment what you guys think about this. If you have any comments or questions, we'll be more than happy to have a conversation with you guys. We do want to start doing some lives where we can just take live questions. So make sure you follow our Instagram account at 336 Podcast. It's your boy 336, and you just tuned in to another episode of the 336 Podcast. Y'all stay safe out there, but most of all, stay sucker free, baby.